I know.
Meeting is called to order at 6:31 p.m.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council Agency Authority Member Taylor.
Here.
Council Agency Authority Member Torres.
Here.
Council Agency Authority Member Van is excused this evening. Mayor Pro Tem Vice Chairperson Warren.
Here.
And Mayor Dan Schaller.
Here. Okay, we're gonna have a special presentation tonight from the League of California Cities, who's gonna share their mission with the city council tonight. Honor that you. Okay, you're allowed to come on.
All right, good evening, Mayor Schauber. Happy New Year, council members. Happy New Year. Hope you had a wonderful holiday break. My name is Connor Medina, and I am the Regional Public Affairs Manager of the Orange County Division of the League of California Cities, or Cal Cities. Such a pleasure to be here tonight in Stanton. You're a very valuable and engaged member of Cal Cities, and I've been grateful to have the opportunity to work with your city manager, your city staff, as well as some of you in the 6 months since I started this role. So what is Cal Cities? For over 125 years, Cal Cities has been the premier advocacy and education organization for cities in Orange County and statewide. We are made up of 476 member cities, which includes 33 in Orange County, all under the guiding principle of preserving local control and ensuring that cities have a fair shake in Sacramento and in the federal government, ensuring that when it comes to funding allocations, when it comes to policies that work for you, cities have that advocate in Sacramento working to make sure that policy gets passed as beneficial. That's a lot of members, 476, and we pride ourselves on having our advocacy work be driven by our members. Your city's input on issues that are a huge priority: public safety, housing and homelessness, revenue and taxation, and protecting local revenues. Having Stanton's voice is very important to me, and ensuring that Orange County cities have a seat at the table when it comes to driving Cal Cities policy. In my role, I serve as your boots on the ground, communicating the latest and greatest information to city staff and to this council, and also ensuring that Stanton's voice is heard in policy discussions. So how do you participate? This slide shows the many different opportunities that the city has to make an impact. First, the Orange County Division has its own board of directors, which I am proud to say Stanton is represented on, as Mayor Schauber was elected by the 33 member cities to be the first vice president. We appreciate the leadership, Mayor. We host 4 quarterly meetings a year, which I strongly encourage you all to attend if you're available. They take place throughout the county and throughout the year. They're really good opportunities for information sharing, for connecting with your colleagues in other cities in Orange County, and I invite you to join those. We also have numerous professional departments that both the council and the staff at every department can take advantage of. And there are also 5 diversity caucuses. Additionally, there are 7 policy committees that are comprised of elected officials and staff statewide. Stanton is always welcome to apply for those seats. Those committees make a really big impact on our advocacy and helping build consensus among many different cities on major issues. I'd like to do a deeper dive on a ballot measure battle that Cal Cities has been a leader on at the direction of our membership, the so-called Taxpayer Protection Act that will appear on the November ballot. This measure is proposed by the California Business Roundtable, or CBRT, an association representing some of the largest and wealthiest businesses in the state. And since there's no prop number yet, and this is their push, I'll be referring to it as the CBRT measure moving forward. So contrary to what the proponents say, this measure is not in the interest of taxpayers, and it does not promote accountability or transparency, which is why more than 200 cities statewide have formally opposed it. So what would the measure do? Well, it implements significant new restrictions on local government tax and fee authority, and restricts voters' ability to pass measures. It adds a significant amount of vague and legally undefined language that could enable frivolous lawsuits against the city. And any taxes adopted after January 1st, 2022 that do not comply with the CBRT measures rules are void unless reenacted. And all this will lead to billions in reduced funding core public services. We estimate over $20 billion is jeopardized over the next 10 years. We found that hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue that was passed by voters after January 1st, 2022, don't comply with the initiative's strict new limitations, depriving communities of the revenue and the services that their voters wanted. Furthermore, all future taxes would need to contain a sunset, and any special taxes put on the ballot by citizens would require 2/3 voter approval, making them significantly harder to pass. That's a much bigger hurdle. One of the most concerning aspects of the CVRT measure, I touched on it briefly earlier, is how its language opens the door for frivolous litigation. It makes it so that the fees and charges, nearly everything in your fee schedule, cannot exceed the actual cost of providing that service. Actual cost is defined by the measure as the minimum amount necessary. So we move from a standard of reasonable cost, which gives cities the latitude to provide services at the level of quality that their residents expect, that their residents desire, and it moves it to an untested new standard that will result in this sort of race to the bottom type of environment for delivering city services. And what would this impact? Well, it would impact a lot. Here's a list of some of the examples of the impacted fees and charges. It opens the door, the floodgates for questions like, what is the minimum amount necessary when it comes to supporting 911 and emergency response times? What is that minimum amount? And does that carry over between city and city? If a different city in Orange County or the state has a different standard than the city of Stanton, where do those overlap and what kind of legal ground does a challenger to the city's current charge, what kind of leverage do they have? As you know, almost every local government adopts annual changes to dozens or even hundreds of fee rates and changes. You revise rate schedules to accommodate different users and activities. They change, and now imagine those changes being subject to strict new standards that any taxpayer in the state can challenge. And if they can challenge these taxes and fees under the standard, it's clearly a recipe for disaster. If you're looking at litigation in perpetuity. Fortunately, we have a strong, diverse coalition opposing the CVRT measure, including counties, special districts, labor, business. This is an all-hands-on-deck effort, so I would strongly recommend that Stanton consider passing a resolution opposing the CVRT measure, join over 200 cities in our effort to protect local services. It means a lot when individual cities stand up for this. My contact information is on this slide. So if you have any questions about Cal Cities or the local government opposition to the CVRT initiative, I'm happy to answer them tonight or at any point in the future. I'm also happy to share resources with you, provide additional information on how you can get involved in Cal Cities, what this measure would do to the city of Stanton. With that, thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I am really grateful for your time.
You know, I think one of the things that we have to realize is that it's the goal of the state of California to take away all local control and to pretty much regulate everything. It's interesting how they're increasing all our taxes across the board, permits, you know, everything. In fact, now they're trying to come up with a system to where if you get paid over a period of time, they have to get, let's say you have a 10-year contract and you're getting $100,000 a year, they want all 10 years worth of taxes paid up front. It's interesting also that this type of a legislation will completely destroy what little control we have left as far as local government goes. It's interesting also as they increase their fees, they want us not to be able to pay for the services that we provide, but they're asking us to provide more services at our level. An example of that will be the upcoming fees for water and some of the other services that normally fall under the jurisdiction of the state of California. The bad news is that eventually they will control everything. We will pay for everything, and there'll be no coming down from the top on back down. And so it's very sad. So how would you, I think we had a draft letter that we put together, an example of what we want to do if we want to oppose this bill, is that correct?
Yeah, so I'm happy to provide draft language for a resolution to the city for your
Right, I
consideration.
think I've had a chance to review that. Maybe if you could get a copy to all our council members so they can see it, and then we can then act on it as a body in the very, very near future.
We'll do this, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Any other questions? Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
have one. So last Cal Cities meeting, there was a little bit of chatter of trying to hold the same standard of having 2/3 vote in order to pass that measure. Do we know any updates regarding that, or is it just normal procedure?
So there is, this is where things start getting in the weeds and there's different measures doing different things that are kind of related. So in this case, there's an amendment that was passed, a constitutional amendment passed by the Assembly, AC 13. Cal City was supportive of that, and the board recently voted to support the ballot measure version of it. In essence, though, because this is changing the rules of the game, so to speak, because it is forcing a 2/3 majority for citizen-passed initiatives, ACA 13 requires this measure that we discussed, the CVRT measure, to pass by a 2/3 majority as well. So if ACA 13 were to be passed by voters, then this measure would need to be passed by 2/3.
Any other questions? Connor has just been with us for a few months now, and it's a breath of fresh air for the organization. He's highly organized. We already have all our committees up and running. We have a meeting just about, it seems like every other day, which is okay. We're having our strategic planning meeting Friday, of which we'll be able to bring up some points. So I'm gonna send out a flyer tomorrow that lists all the strategic plans that we discussed at the state level. If there's anything that you guys would like to add to it, I'll be happy to take it to that meeting on Friday. It's not really that, it's only like 2 or 3 pages. It's simply a white paper. But if you see something missing, please let me know, and I'll make sure to address that with the entire executive board at that particular point. I selfishly became the first vice president, which means I'll be president next year, so that we can make sure that we always get our attention to local government, as you know, and Stanton needs recognition that they need. So I'm there for you guys, as well as all my other board members. So please make sure you reach out to us. Okay? Connor, keep up the good work. And Edison's loss is our game. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, Councilman, what's his name?
Torres.
I have so much on my mind today. Councilman Torres is going to give you a Stanton pin, which you can wear proudly for the hard work you did tonight.
There we go. Got some hardware.
What happens when you take 3 ribs off, you forget about it. Okay, at this time, we're going to go through, the consent calendar, and out of courtesy to my fellow council members, I would like to just pull item 6G and move the balance. Okay, is there any people from the public that would like to comment, or we receive any written correspondence on this?
Mr. Mayor, we have none.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
A motion by Mayor Schauber, a second by Councilmember Taylor. I'll proceed with roll call vote. Council Agency Authority Member Torres.
Yes.
Council Agency Authority Member Taylor.
Yes.
Council Mayor Pro Tem, Mayor Pro Tem,
Which-
Vice Chairperson Warren, and Mayor Chairman Schauber.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, go back to item 6G.
The mayor's appointments of council members as representatives to various boards, commissions, committees, and agencies.
Okay, first of all, I've been checking up, and your attendance is excellent. So you guys are really doing a good job representing the side of the community and also the boards that you serve on. So I want to thank you for that, first of all. Because sometimes people get on board and they never show up. So, but we have a pretty good high rating of attendance, so thank you for that. And then I wanted to say, if anybody finds there's any conflict, at this point, is there anybody that is stressed? I just want to make sure. Okay, I'll go ahead and move that we pass 6G.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Mayor Schaubert, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Warren. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, item passes.
Okay, that ends our consent calendar. We'll move to public hearings, which I'll open at this time. Speakers are allowed up to 3 minutes. And I'm sure it'll be a little bit shorter tonight than it was the last time we got together. So, can you, I ask you if we have any public comments or anybody who'd like to speak?
At this time, for item 7A, no, sir.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the council at this time? Okay, that being said, I'll go ahead and close public hearings and bring it back to the council for a motion.
I'll move it.
Okay, we won't have to do that, just close it. Okay.
If I may, Mayor and Council, there's just a couple of housekeeping items I'd
All
like
right.
to propose before a vote is made on item 7A. It is an interim urgency ordinance pursuant to Government Code Section 65858. So therefore, it would require a four-fifths vote of the council. Mayor Pro Tem does have a conflict in terms of having property close to a couple of the affected public lodging businesses. That said, because this item requires a four-fifths vote, by necessity, we need at least 4 of the 5 council members to vote on this item, and therefore, the Mayor Pro Tem may participate.
That's what I was gonna say. I said, does it make any difference? Carol now becomes those.
Exactly.
Okay, good. I thought you were gonna say we couldn't vote on it. By the way, there's a very simple reason to this. As you know, we're trying to make our community safer, and we're trying to also control the growth in our community. And so I just want to let everybody know that we're very carefully looking at everything, anything that's commercial, no matter what it is in this city, to find out whether or not what the impact will be on public safety and the people that live in our town. So this is just one of the observations that we're going to be doing and one of the things that we're going to be taking a look at. Okay, go ahead.
Once again, we have a motion by Mayor Schaubert and a second by Councilmember Torres? Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Warren?
Yes.
Mayor Schaubert?
Yes,
And passes 4-0.
we have no unfinished business, we have no new business. Okay. We now move to. Oh, yeah, for communications from the public. Okay. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak? Have we received any additional correspondence?
Mr. Mayor, we have none.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead and close that opportunity. We have no written communications, mayor and council initiated business.
I have one. In reading my correspondence from the city today, I noticed email about fireworks for Chinese New Year, Vietnamese New Year. Is there any way we could do like an emergency closing to allow fireworks that day?
I can comment.
Well, maybe the attorney could.
Well, no, I've already had a chance to talk to the attorney and to our city manager and to the fire department. So that before we hear from them, I just wanted to interject, if you don't mind. Chief, can you tell us about the OCSA policy, please? This would be great.
Okay, certainly. So as far as the use of fireworks in communities, it has been in the past, we do have cities that do utilize fireworks outside or allow fireworks to be used outside of the 4th of July weekend. It's usually associated with cultural events such as the TET Festival they do every year in Garden Grove. If there is a city that does request, or an organization that requests to use fireworks outside that normal 4th of July day, there is a filing process and a permit process to allow that. It's just to ensure that one, stay the same, to make sure we have all the safety parameters in place for fire and health and safety of any of the users of the fireworks, and then also all the public and attendance of the events. So there is a process to follow that we would have to approve of it, but the OCFA alone cannot approve it outside of a city's or override a city's municipal codes or anything of that sort of anything of that nature. We would have to need the city to bless it, and then we have a permit process to allow it to happen as well.
Great.
How long is this processing?
The permit process?
Yeah,
Generally, we have a 2-week window, but I mean, things can be streamlined and fast-tracked if need be, but our normal, like, just like for any other event, if you wanted to do a city event where you requested a tent to be put up and the tent required to use, permit due to the size and square footage, we would usually like to receive those a minimum 2 weeks in advance to give our staff time, appropriate time to review them, but we can always expedite things if, there's a need to as well.
Any other questions for Chief? Okay, Chief, thank you for that,
Thank you.
and thank you for the interruption. Now, you can take over and ask anybody any questions you want. Go ahead, Joe.
I was just wondering the feasibility of it.
Mayor and council typically so the current Stanton Municipal Code provides that fireworks or firecrackers as well be done in the July 4th period, days on that day. Typically, an ordinance would take the first reading, second reading, and third day waiting period afterwards, unless it's an urgency ordinance, at which you can take effect immediately if there are findings made that there's this immediate need. Typically, it furthers the health, welfare, and safety of the public to substantiate that. So the law does allow for urgency ordinance if certain findings.
And I may suggest that one of the thoughts I had is we can make it an issue, because if we can control it and make it legal and have people pull permits that are necessary, it does tend to make public a safe period over that period of celebration. So I think there may be a way to do that. I would recommend, if it's okay with you, Carol, that we have our city manager and city attorney work with the fire department and come up with a emergency ordinance. We can make sure that we have a need for it, and that we can come up with a way to do it in
When is Chinese New Year?
February.
It begins February 10th and runs for a period of
Yeah, I just don't want to overtax staff. We could just monitor it this year and then go through all the channels we need to go through and for next year.
I can recommend that too, because that ordinance already exists in the city of Gardenville and Westminster. There'll be no duplicity. We could probably just take a look at their two ordinances, and if it meets the needs of our community, we can adopt it, which I think would be just a matter of calling the city managers of those two cities, which our city manager has a great relationship. So it's up to you. Go ahead.
Any thoughts?
How many weeks the previous year?
Well, we've done it on the January. We have done that on January New Year's. We've allowed over the years.
Is that, what I saw in the code was only July.
I know we did that in previous historic time.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had special things like that in the past. To me, they're not good anyway.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that we regulate, that we put our stamp on it. And that way, it causes less confusion, neighborhoods are aware of it, and then they have a right to celebrate their cultural event. I think that's very important to them. It also has to do with religion, religious religion. So I mean, if it's not gonna take a lot of staff time, and our staff is willing to do that, I would really like to do it. I think it's important. How do you feel about that, Tom?
Mostly on board, the only issue that I have is
Every firecracker that's shot out is gonna hurt air quality.
right, but to what extent?
Not as bad as you driving home in your car.
Or not as bad as going to Garden Grove or Westminster on Chinese New Year's at the Tet Festival.
So could we at least look into the feasibility of this?
If the council wants to do it under an emergency or urgency timeline, I would assign the entire project to the city attorney's office. We don't have staff time to add this additional report. We have a very big agenda actually for the next meeting. So if the council's okay with that, and the city attorney believes they have staff in the office to prepare the staff report and associated materials.
Well,
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we have that regulation come back to us at the next city council meeting so that we can get people. I mean, our community's demographics has changed greatly. We're almost at 30% Asian at this point. And the Asian population, that's their New Year's. And I think they should have a right to celebrate it the way they like to celebrate it. I do want to make sure though that we don't have the bottle rockets and skyrockets, even same fireworks. It's just a matter of allow only fireworks. I mean firecrackers.
you know what, maybe what we do, I mean, I understand your motion, but maybe what we do is we monitor it so that we're not, let's monitor Chinese New Year, let's monitor Cinco de Mayo, let's monitor the July 4th, and come up with an overall ordinance that covers all the special holidays. We're such a diverse city, it's not just Chinese New Year and July 4th. Maybe we monitor all these, for the next year, monitor all these holidays, and that way we'll be better informed with an ordinance.
Okay, well,
Next year.
it's my, okay, I'm okay with that. It's my observation also over the years on Cinco de Mayo, I have not seen fireworks or firecrackers. In other words, to me, the only people that use firecrackers are the people that, for the Chinese New Year, the Tet Festival. And these are the people that are asking now, if other groups would like to be part of that, they can, because that's, that day of the Tet Festival, or wherever we designate it, that's good citywide. You know, we're giving everybody an opportunity to bring in the Chinese New Year. I think that's the right way to do it. Make it fair for everybody. So,
I like those. And we have that problems, yeah.
well, if we can't, okay, well, guys do whatever you want. I'm just saying this is a way that we can move it forward. If you guys want to wait another year, it's up to you.
I think not just wait another year, let's monitor it this year. And then next year we'll be better versed in it. We can talk to Westminster, Garden Grove, see how they handled it, how their year was this year, what the problems were, what the benefits were, and then next year maybe more educated ordinance.
The last two times that we've spoken about fireworks, unfortunately, we've been rushed for time. So, right, for the 4th of July, we were rushed. And, unfortunately, we couldn't get that ordinance in, right, because we didn't have enough time. So hopefully this year we use have some time, right, so that we can have something with structure. You know, the review is also I have concern about how fireworks can be used in our city too. But apart from that, I think it's important that we have a good structure. So.
And maybe the last year, for the 4th of July, we had a large amount of fine for maybe we could be, put it up, for a future agenda, and we could talk about that ahead of time. And then we'll vote if we think it's a good idea.
Well, it's interesting because there's only one group in the entire city that's and I look back over, there's really, I'm not familiar with I know Garden Grove and I know this, I also know Stanford. There are very few people at this point that have asked for, or actually use the fireworks. Anyway, that's cool. So we'll just let it go, right?
Well, I'd like for us to monitor it. I mean, I'll drive around and take a look. I mean, whatever we can do to monitor it, or maybe we just keep the Garden Grove and Westminster after forward and see what their experience was, and then we base an ordinance in the future off of that. Or not basing an ordinance in the future off of that.
Make a motion.
What would the monitoring do? Do we have the manpower? I mean, if we get that as a council directive, then now we're asking our staff to go out and monitor firecrackers on Chinese New Year.
Okay, why don't we, I'll modify my motion that we speak with our surrounding cities, see their experience through the holiday. That way we can form a better ordinance next year. I don't want staff out driving around on Chinese New Year.
So we just basically are going to reach out to our neighboring cities that have, I think it's probably more than just two. So maybe we can send an email out to ask, at least ask how many cities have it, they can send a copy of their order. And then that gives us a chance to see what's going on in Orange County. Chief, how many cities have asked for that exemption?
I only know of two that do it regularly, and that'd be Westminster and Garden Grove, but I'm not sure if there's been others.
Thank you.
Mayor and council, I would note that, we're talking about initiated items for a future study session or future meeting. This is not an item that has been agendized for today's meeting, so no motion is required at this time. Just if the council as a whole would like to put this on a future agenda item, as a future agenda item, then certainly we can discuss it.
What would it cost us to do this? I just curious. I know we're always counting our pennies, and that's why we do a pretty good job financially. But how much would it cost us to put something like this together if we were to do duplicity and take one of our neighbor's ordinance?
Mayor and council, theoretically, it shouldn't take too long if there's a good ordinance in the city, which I'm sure there is. Part of it is just writing staff report, making sure it aligns with this standing municipal code and consistent with what is already written there. In light of the adjustments, so I wouldn't expect it to take too long from the city attorney's office if we were directed to that.
So perhaps what we do is we bring this back in like April timeframe, as per Dolly's comment. That way we can cover 4th of July, the Chinese New Year, and just the whole 9 yards and have a fireworks discussion. That way we have time on every.
I'm just looking at, we have 30% of our population that's South. It's not gonna take much staff time to study. It's not gonna cost a lot of money. If it was indeed 30%, we're looking at over maybe 12, 15,000 people. And I just think it's something that is not gonna cost us a lot of money. We've never had a negative incident with firecrackers that I'm aware of on that particular day. So, I don't know.
The only odd thing that struck me about it was you can't buy firecrackers, they're illegal.
You can buy them in Westminster.
Firecrackers.
They're for sale at every store in Westminster and Garden Grove during the Chinese New Year.
Maybe we should.
Okay, well, I'm opposed to that, but since I said 3-1 vote, I will make a motion to do that. So we can move on.
We're not motioning, we're not voting, we're talking.
Okay. All right, where are we now?
Item 12C.
On 12B. Oh, announcements, right?
You guys were under 12B item for the future meeting. So we can go back to 12A if there's any announcements that you'd like, Mr. Mayor.
Are there any announcements?
It's that time of year for mosquitoes coming up in the spring. We don't have any now, they're all frozen, it's cold weather, which is great. But I would like to mention that we are starting our campaign awareness. So the other day, last year, we had the signs on the side of our public service vehicles and stuff. Remember me, I think it was last year, we'll get a different one this year. And they would like to come and speak at one of our council meetings and things like that. And participate at like the car show or any of our activities that there's any that we. That's all.
Okay, now we wait.
I just wanted to make a mention that we went to, my son and I went to the Brown Descents car show over the holidays. And it was at Orangewood and Dale. And it was a good car show. And there were council people from Garden Grove and Anaheim at the show as well. And I think it was Anaheim donated to their charity as well, which was an education focused charity. But anyway, we talked to them and they hadn't been to the same car show in years, but they're planning on coming back to our show this year. So I thought that was pretty nice. We're having that. Well,
Yeah, it also is National Law Enforcement Day today. And so I had an opportunity to reach out to our sheriff's department and thank them all for the great job they're doing. And I think it's important that we recognize that. So in the future, we'll be giving a certificate to our sheriff's department for the states that we can hang on. Thank you. Okay, moving on to items for a future study session. Okay, I have some. My first one is we've already done contracting, so that's my next one is going to be parking committee. How many people are familiar with our parking committee? Okay, we have a parking committee of which they take a look at the various traffic conditions, parking and traffic in our city, and they make a decision on how we're going to spend our revenues, our resources, and making our city safer. Whether it's red curbing, fixing a delineator, bringing up a sign, things like that. I thought it would be a good idea, I was going to run this by our staff attorney. I think it would be good for us to have one of our council members also on that. Because I know that you're on it. I know Jim's on it, I know the chief's on it, I know Caesar's on it. So I thought it'd be a good idea to have a representative from the city council on it, so that they can be our intermediary back and forth communications between the committee, which I had no knowledge of to learn a little bit, so we can all stay on top of it. So if we do see something, parking, traffic, safety, dealing with our arterials or highways, we have a revenue or resource to go to that committee. So if it's okay with that, I'd like to agendize for a discussion of putting a city council member on board with that after we get some feedback from the staff on how they feel about it. I do think it's important that we have some.
Parking committee under public safety. So the Parking and Traffic Committee is a staff committee, and it's staffed with subject matter experts from the relevant departments. The OCSD deputy that attends is our motor, who writes all of our parking tickets. The city's contracted traffic engineer attends to provide technical assistance. The city's public works director and city engineer attends. The assistant, associate engineer, thank you, attends to serve as administrative support. They prepare the agenda. Director of Public Safety attends, and the code enforcement manager attends to remind us all of the municipal code as we're reviewing these items. The items that are placed on the agenda come in from community requests that either come directly to city staff or come through to a council member, which is then forwarded to city staff, myself, or others. And that's currently how the organization works. I actually have the least technical expertise in the room, and primarily I'm there just again to understand the issues that are percolating through certain neighborhoods, just so I have awareness. So certainly if the council wants to assign a council member to the committee, you know, we can decide on that, but if the issue is communication, we're more than happy. We have an agenda and minutes after every meeting. We're more than happy to share that with the entire council.
One of the reasons I thought it'd be good to have one of us on board is I say something comes up, involves territory, or my territory, and gets fixed. I think that that information, although if we get it back in a report, is something that we'll be able to discuss or brought up by our representative at our council meeting, or they can bring that up themselves or bring it to our council. I just thought it's good to have something. I know that there's always a balance between council-driven and staff-driven agendas. I just thought it would be an opportunity for us to be better communicate in an area that's very important to our city. So if you don't mind, we can at least discuss it with the staff. Okay, along those same lines, I'd like to also agendize something very similar to that. And that's for us to find an agency that's going to take care of our parking citations in the city of Stanton. The reason for this is very simple. Our sheriff's department does not have the time or wherewithal or the ability to write parking tickets. We're very overburdened on what our normal public safety team is doing besides writing tickets every day. And I would like to say that if we had an agency that was able to take those responsibilities off our public safety, our sheriff's department, that would create a better condition for them to do the things that are probably have a higher priority in the city. One of the things that you probably are not aware of is the fact that we have limited funding for public safety related to parking, traffic in our streets. In other words, if we want to put a red curb out or we want to put a sign up, we have limited resources to do that. If we had the ability to write parking tickets for what we have established at this particular point, this would raise a small revenue amount that we could put back into the system to help fund different types of signage or enforce some of the older, worn out things that we have in the city, so that we would be able to pay for the public safety. Another example of this is we have a lot of the Johns and prostitutes and other illegal operations that park in areas of our city that are no parking. We do not have the ability at this time to cite people during 3 hours of the morning or late at night. Example, on Main Street, we have no overnight parking, yet it's a regular pickup and drop off for Johns and prostitutes at night. If we had this agency, it would help control public safety. I would be very interested in also making it something that also, we get complaints of all the time about people that park across driveways, people that park in areas that are restricted, people that park in areas to sell their cars, even though they're not warranted to do that. I think it's something that we should at least take a look at to find out the viability and the cost, or whether it would save us money to have somebody do it, and if it would increase the funding to increase public safety on traffic in our city.
Should this be something that the parking committee comes back to us with?
I'm not talking about, no, I'm talking about something that I think that we should look at is doing it ourselves. In other words, we need to hire, we as a council need to hire private people to do our ticketing.
But wouldn't a suggestion from all the experts?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I had a chance to talk with Mr. Wren, and he didn't seem opposed to it, and neither did the chief of police. And so I did a lot of research on this. I'm telling you right now, a lot of the crime that goes in our city is because people park where it's illegal to park, and we don't have the manpower or the wherewithal to issue tickets. Now, I'm sure that there's a way in which we can do that, because many of our neighboring cities, such as Santa Ana, Fullerton, Laguna Beach, Garden Grove, they do issue tickets with an agency from the outside. The monies that they collect from that, they put back into making their city safe. That's all I'm asking for.
Do you have a meeting?
No, so whoever we hire, whoever gives us the best price, and whoever has the highest, most of these have done it before. We want somebody with at least a $5 million bond. We want some people that know how to deal with the public and some people with experience.
When we need to go through the process.
Yeah, you have to give them, so you have to bid. That's the way you do it.
I was gonna just mention, Mayor and Council, this is item 12C, items for a future study session, all those details, if it makes it onto a future study session, can be fleshed out, if council gives direction for it to be provided on a further future agenda.
Okay, thank you. I guess we'll okay with that. Take a look. Okay, next is Tina Pacific. I think it's time for us to take a look at other alternatives for Tina Pacific. We're now going into my 17th year of that budget. I think that due to the fact that we owe citizens and residents of that Tina Pacific area a better way of life, that we need to at least take a look at what some of our other options would be. Now, what those options are, I have some that I have taken a look at. Staff is in the process of taking a look at some of the things we can do. But in fairness to the people that live there, in fairness to the fact that this has taken 17 years, I think we should at least look at what other opportunities we have so that we can get the folks that live there relocated into other living conditions. It seems to me that if you continue down the dead-end street, you're never going to get out of it. But if you at least explore an alternate route, there may be some hope. And so that's just something I'd like to take a look at, and get on the agenda for our discussion. I know that we also have some further upcoming discussions on this item in closed session, but I think it's also good for us to discuss it at some point after that in the public. I think it's also good to let the public know that it's time for this to either get resolution or to move on. I'm not very pleased with the way in which we are being slowed down by outside interests. So therefore, I think this is a way to send a very strong message to outside interests that enough's enough, and that the people that live in Tina Pacific deserve a better way of life, and they don't have to wait another 17 years. Thank you. Carol?
We can agendize the study session on it, that's for sure.
Okay, good. Is everybody okay with that? Okay, thank you.
Right, this is the processes, the request has come through, it'll come at the next meeting for discussion. And that's when, unless there's city council consensus, we can argue the facts, give the facts, and then from there, council will decide if it's action for research and staff report.
Yeah, there's a point. You see, you haven't been doing it, John, you've been doing it since I was 3.
I would brag about
I wasn't here for the dinosaurs.
But it's just like, hey, let's see if we can either speed it up or come up with an option to get this resolved. And, we need to do it. I think we're all dissatisfied with the rate or speed at which we're able to provide these new homes or dwellings for these folks. And, I think it's time that we figure out how we best can do it. That's all. We keep getting roadblocks. I don't think that's right.
So we're gonna agendize all of our options.
Right.
The whole spectrum, not just one or the other. Hopefully it's both.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So I've got it for discussion for the next meeting. Are there any other items, Mr. Mayor?
That's about it. Okay, thank you for that opportunity. I really appreciate it. Okay, moving on. These are items for a future study session.
We just did that, sir, we're on item 13.
Items from the city attorney,
Thank you, Mayor and Council, I have no items,
city manager.
nothing this evening, sir. I will be providing the Orange County Sheriff's Department.
Deputy Hannah.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. In December, Stanton deputies responded to 1,277 calls for service, an average of 43 a day. When not being assigned calls for service, deputies observed 539 violations of law and acted on them appropriately. Deputies made 49 arrests, almost double the statistics from last month, including felony bookings, misdemeanor bookings, warrant bookings, and DUI bookings. Deputies issued 57 misdemeanor citations, and our Stanton Motor Deputy issued 105 traffic citations. The Orange County Sheriff's Department Gang Unit arrested 2 documented gang members in the month of December for various crimes. The total number of documented gang members arrested for 2023 is 34. In December, Stanton deputies handled the following criminal activity: 2 rapes, 8 robberies, 23 violent assaults, 5 burglaries, 42 thefts, 8 stolen vehicles, and 2 arson cases. For investigations, Stanton investigators had a very busy month between the 2 of them. They were able to review 101 total cases, and 50 of those cases were closed. Our special enforcement team had the following activity for the month of December: 18 arrests, 10 felony and 8 misdemeanor, 5 citations, 3 for public nudity and 2 for narcotics, 20 homeless contacts, all of which declined services, 25 probationers were contacted, 3 parolees were contacted, 8 prostitutes were contacted, 2 stolen vehicles were recovered, and 3 parolees at large were arrested. Our 2 homeless liaison deputies have been very busy. We want to thank Deputy Young for all of his work during his tenure on the team. He is being promoted to be Special Enforcement Team Car, and his replacement is Deputy Rachel Addington. She will be introduced to the city at the next council meeting. For response times, our priority 1 calls an average response time of 3 minutes and 59 seconds. Priority 2, 11 minutes and 47 seconds. And priority 3, 20 minutes and 50 seconds. Chief Walters wanted to thank city staff for being great partners and wanted to once again commend all stakeholders on the team work. At the next council meeting, Chief Walters will be introducing the new deputies, sergeants, and congratulating the Deputy of the Year. In partnership with multiple law enforcement agencies, the North Directed Enforcement Team, Stanton Police Services Investigations, and several SWAT teams made multiple arrests pertaining to a large-scale burglary ring. Stanton Investigations also has arrested a suspect on suspicion of multiple sex-related crimes. This suspect is facing multiple life sentences if convicted. Chief Walters also wanted to thank the mayor for his generosity in regards to providing a barbecue meal for staff. Staff was extremely thankful and the meal was delicious. If anyone has any questions, Chief Walters is available, and this concludes my presentation on his behalf. On this report, it does not look like there were any tickets for trespassing.
Have a lot of homeless people that continue to go to places.
And this is just
One
one
question.
snapshot for the month of December.
For a whole month. Yeah, that's a long. Could you sing the?
I will. I just want to make note that those response times are blazing fast, in case you're not aware of 3 minutes, 59 seconds is a fast response time. So, more power to our police, that's great.
Anything from staff? Okay, at this time then, I'm gonna go ahead and
Sorry, Mayor, I can just clarify one thing. Councilmember Taylor, the statistics were for arrests, and they didn't provide detailed statistics for the number of misdemeanor citations. There were 57, and I'm sure some of those were for trespassing, so I will get that
Okay,
detailed
I
information.
didn't hear the trespassing part, so yeah, I'm sure they were then.
Yeah, but I'll-
Okay, I feel good.
okay, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Happy New Year.